This past weekend I went to the Lantern Festival in Auckland. So the Lantern Festival is held, as part of Chinese New Year, and it's been quite a good tradition in Auckland. They've been running it for quite a few years. The location has changed in recent years. They actually moved it somewhere bigger so that more people could fit in to come and look at this festival with all the lanterns and the other displays and things. At the old venue, which was, was a decent size, but it really did start to get to have some things that reminded me rather a lot of actually being in China, specifically being in downtown Shanghai at night when there's the peak flows of people. So you're literally shoulder to shoulder and couldn't turn around if you wanted to. The only way to change direction you're walking is to gradually work your way to the side of the crowd and find your way out, and that way you can turn around and go the other direction. So they've moved it to a larger space, and that's because so many people come out to enjoy this event. Hundreds of thousands of people go through it each year and enjoy some Chinese culture, which is really cool. And a little bit of other culture gets slipped in there somewhere as well, but mainly Chinese culture. And really awesome event. And I thought that this would be a good opportunity to talk about the role of Chinese culture in Qigong. Because if you didn't know, Qigong comes from China. But does it really? And that's a question to consider. I actually wrote a blog post about this a while ago, and I somewhat provocatively titled it Qigong Isn't Chinese, or something like that, because I wanted it to be provocative, because I wanted people to read it. And the point of it is that Qigong, or as the practices of Qigong, a lot of the theory and it comes from China, but the principles are much more than a Chinese cultural thing. They're universal. They're true principles. And I think if we think of Qigong too much as a Chinese cultural practice, or as just Chinese, we're really not giving Qigong the credit that it deserves, because then it becomes very easy to just write off as, some strange cultural thing, rather than something that's actually real. And I think that's an important thing to realize and to have in mind, particularly if you are interested in Qigong and learning Qigong and practicing Qigong, that it comes from China, and there's lots of things, there's lots of great things about that, but it's a real thing. And if you think of it too much as Chinese, you miss some of that. I guess I can think of a few problems with thinking of it too much as a Chinese cultural practice. One, like I've said, is you may not give it the respect it deserves as actually being true, real principles that you can apply to your life. A second one is that, again, if you think of it as Chinese, you might think, somehow it's more suitable for Chinese people, or Chinese people are naturally better at it, or something like that, which of course is not true. The Qigong applies to all of us. Each of us, if we practice and learn, we can gain the benefits from it. And then I guess the last, potential problem I see with that is if you see it as a cultural practice rather than something that's real, you may take in somewhat arbitrary aspects of the culture and think of that as Qigong rather than the deeper principles. And so you might be a bit misdirected in your thinking about that. And in fact, Chinese culture, like every culture, it has things that are good about it, and it has things that are not so good about it. You don't necessarily want to take in the things that aren't so good or useful to you with the things that are good and useful. And so, I think it's helpful to make that distinction. Helpful to realize and understand, Qigong comes from China, and appreciate that, and appreciate, the good things about that. But also take a step back from that and not think of Qigong as necessarily Chinese, but rather something, developed there, but it's something that's universal, that we can all apply in our lives, wherever we're from, wherever we happen to live. So, I, like a lot of people, do enjoy a lot of things about Chinese culture though, and really enjoy the Lantern Festival. Lots of cool things there. I hope you enjoy some of the clips that I've got in this vlog of the lanterns, the martial arts, things like that. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.